So this build has actually been one of the most profitable tables that I've built so far to date. And it's a counter height table. The custom base is built without using a domino joiner. It's built using tools that anybody can have, with the exception of the drum sander and obviously the saw stop. But a table saw, some drills, and a miter saw will get you everything you need to build this table. And so right now I'm cutting it down to rough length. This is red oak milled down S3S to 6/4. And we're going to rip down the edge. So the benefit of getting the wood milled before I pick it up, S3S, is I have a straight line and I have two flat surfaces, mostly flat. And I can get a tabletop glued up pretty quickly while I work on other things and really turn these tables around. And that's the main structure of my business now, is doing tables. I've made the most money I've ever made in my life as a side hustle when I niched down to doing just tables. And you may not have a joiner, but if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, you know that this is a brand new tool to my shop. I made it for years without a joiner. It's a luxury tool, but it has sped up the process. And if you're new to the channel, you should go check out some of my earlier content. I actually started in a shipping container. I really have been blessed to have a nice successful business here recently. But my earlier content, it may be more relatable for some people, especially if you're just beginning. I started in a shipping container and slowly moved my way up to where we're at now. So ignore some of the big tools, just enjoy the content, and hopefully you'll learn something. Maybe you'll learn to hit that like and subscribe button, because it does go a long way to help the channel.
Hey, we need to talk.
What's up?
I gotta tell you something.
What's up?
I think I'm pregnant.
What?
I think we're pregnant.
How do we know that you're pregnant? How do we know it's not just, you know, maybe you ate a little bit too much lasagna?
I think I'm pregnant.
Okay. Cool. Alright. Cool.
Where are you going?
I think we need some milk.
Where are you going?
Wait. Oh, wait. Come on. All right. Damn it. Almost forgot.
We talked about this.
Talked about what?
We can't run away every time we get pregnant.
I'm not the one that's pregnant.
You can't abandon your family every time we get pregnant.
I just want to take just a sweet bike. I just want to go on a bike ride. It's a sweet bike, Sharon. Go!
It's a sweet bike, but I expect you back at the shop in 5 minutes.
Well, with top speeds of 32 miles an hour, that won't be a problem. So one day I typed into Google whether or not I could outrun my responsibilities on an e-bike. And the answer it gave me was no, according to the AI. But that didn't stop me from trying. And that's when I came across the Himaway A7 electric bike. And it has a range of colors. I actually chose the midnight blue, which is a pretty solid color. Now, I'm not sure why you would try to put a kid on the back of it in the photo, but I actually put 5 on the back of mine, one at a time, obviously, and it ran just fine. So it has a 500 watt motor. The A7 has front suspension, hydraulic disc brakes, and a torque sensor that somehow knows when you're pedaling just enough to make you feel like you worked out without actually working out. Side effects may include having fun without your kids, having fun with your kids, experiencing the primal thrill of flight while technically still on the ground, and forgetting your helmet because you felt invincible. And you can literally go anywhere with these bikes. You can go off-road, on-road, suburban areas, it doesn't matter. Now, when you map your routes, just know that Google will not provide a map for you to go from your hometown to Patagonia. You can drive it or fly it, but you cannot get a route from Google. So we had to settle for somewhere closer. Maybe I'll settle for North Dakota. And it's a little bit outside of the range of Himaway, but I'm sure I could find somewhere to charge up the battery, which does last for a long while. It gets 50 to 80 miles of range on one charge. And don't worry, I did make it back into the shop. So if you're looking for a silent getaway vehicle that fits nicely between your table saw and a midlife crisis, the Himaway A7 might just be the ride for you. So my boss actually watches or used to watch my woodworking channel. So if everybody would do me a favor, please comment below, give Marcus a raise because he deserves it. But he has asked me multiple times about these glue ups and whether or not I do biscuits, dowels, or dominoes to help with the strength, and the answer is no. The glue to glue joint, or the glued face to face joint, is actually stronger than the wood itself, and the wood will actually break before that glue joint does if you have a solid glue joint, specifically face to face, not end grain to end grain, but edge face to edge face, or however you say it. I don't know all the terminology. So you did see me beating the mess out of the tabletop. I was trying to get some alignment. I did have some alignment issues. I was in a rush to get that top together, and I didn't spend any time actually back milling it, if you would say that, or kind of double milling it when I got it into the shop versus what I got from the lumber yard. I just didn't have that kind of time, and I really should have. It would have saved me in the long run from going back and forth here in the drum sander. Now the double drum, it does a good job flattening the slab, but it's not the same as what you would get from a wide belt sander. It's not as aggressive. You have to really be very careful with the passes that you take. You can only take light passes, and you really, the most time saving you'll have using a tool like this will come in your glue up. And you see here, I kind of went down too far with it, and it gets hung up. And what that does is it puts a line across the whole top, and you gotta keep sanding to get that line out, and it just takes pass after pass after pass. It's time consuming. It may or may not be faster. It is faster than using, a hand sander, and the business, it makes sense, but it's not necessary. You could save a lot of time if you really focus on your glue ups. It's a good tool. I do like it. It's been a great investment, and it has increased the efficiency in my shop. Forgive me, I'm drinking tea. It's 10:30 at night, and I'm trying to narrate. Using a track saw to cut everything down to size. I'm actually going to put together a jig. I saw a video on Instagram, I believe it was, of a jig that you can assemble out of some 1x material and run your skill saw along the side of it, same as you would a track saw. So I'm going to have a video coming up, maybe demonstrating that. I've never built one, and I would be interested to do that. And so here I'm just using the Rotec to kind of flatten some of the surfaces on the lifting edges on the bottom side. I didn't want to take out any more thickness of the tabletop. For a tabletop, I really don't want to go below 1¼ inch, and we were right at 1¼ inch. These are some popular components that I glued up before we started filming this video. This is some 2x material, or 8/4, glued up to its neighboring pieces, and this is going to make up the legs, the post, and the design components to make that X farmhouse style, whatever you call it. It's a trestle table, counter height. I'm going about 3.5 inches wide by something. I wish I would have wrote down the measurements. I don't really remember the exact measurements. I think it was 3.5 by 4. And it makes it look very symmetrical while making it not look too chunky, if that makes any sense. And I actually need to do some adjustments on this planer. It's starting to give me some snipe on the end. And the belt, I've noticed the belt is starting to burn a little bit. So if I use it too long, there's a burning smell, and I look on the left side, and I'm getting black dust from the belt just stripping. And I'm not sure what's causing that. So I know I gotta change the gear oil on one side, but I'm not sure what else to do. So I'm going to have to get, if you know, or if you have a planer, let me know how you maintain it. If you've had that issue with the belt burning, what's the fix? Look at that. Now that was talent. So to cut the excess, I'm just using the miter saw. I was going to do it on a table saw, but for some reason I didn't. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's because of the height or the depth of the wood. I wouldn't have gotten the full cut all the way through, and I don't like doing 2 passes because you always have that line. It might be very small, but you always have that line that you never get it quite perfect. So I'm using the square as a reference to get that 45-degree angle when I laid it out. And now that I'm looking at it, those clips were actually out of order. So I'll make a note to my editor. Make sure you put them clips in order, because I just got confused. So I laid out the markings, obviously, before I cut out the X components. Ran them all, just a quick pass through the drum sander. And we're going to attach these using some structural screws. I have been a fiend for structural screws lately. The reason I went with poplar for the base is because it's an excellent paint grade material. Excellent paint grade material. It's not expensive, and it absorbs the paint and holds the color true pretty well. Anytime I'm painting, I'm trying to use poplar or pine if it's the leg, but I mostly try to use poplar, especially for aprons and frames. And so you see I pre-drilled the recess holes with a Forstner bit. I use a 3/4, that's a 3/4 bit. I'm doing 4 holes on the bottom of each side, and that's going to attach the post. And you could use a domino. You could do mortise and tenon. You could do it however you want to do it. For me, this is a very strong method of construction. It's very reliable, and it's very quick and efficient. Doing it as a business, while I would love to use chisels and saws all day, that's just not going to be successful for my business. So we use structure screws, or we'll use a domino. And now we are ripping down the top supports. These are going to run the width of the table and not the length. So the length runners, I think they're called aprons. The width runners, I have no idea what they're called. I know what you're thinking. This guy's a moron. He doesn't even know what he's building. He can't even tell me what it is. I know, I get it. But I'm not a scientist. I'm a woodworker. So for the width runners, I like to put a chamfer on the bottom of them. It removes that blocky look It matches the table really well, especially the X style. And here I'm laying out where the width runner, or width support, whatever you want to call it, will support the table. I'm laying out where we're going to drill the holes and the recesses for the, you guessed it, structure screws. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now these set blocks are actually very affordable. They're on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description. I've had these for about 8 months now, and I don't use them every project, but when I have them, they really do come in handy for getting, just dialing in perfect the depth of your table saw. And I could have used the dado blade to speed this up, but it really didn't take that long. And switching out the dado blade on a saw stop, I came to find out, is a pain in the rear. Maybe it's easier the more you do it, but you got to change the cartridge along with the stack. And it blew my mind last time, I guess you could say. It really took me a while to figure out how to get that cartridge set in there correctly. So I didn't feel like taking out the dado stack. The reason I did that recess on the bottom of that runner is because I forgot to plane down the runner to the thickness that I needed. So it was actually too thick, and it would have made the table too tall. They want counter height, which is around 34 to 36 inches. And if I would have left the thickness, I would have been at like 36 and a half by the time I added the tabletop to the table, and I didn't want that. And so for the recesses that we're drilling here, we're going to take a 3/4 dowel after we screw our screws, and we're going to glue a towel and saw off the excess, which you'll see pretty soon. And when we're doing paint grade, that's a great way to kind of hide these dowel holes. I don't worry about the top, 'cause that's going to be underneath the tabletop anyway. So hopefully you're getting the concept of the construction of this. If you're painting it, you really can use the structure screws, build this however you want to do. You could use dowels, but really anybody can build this, and this was a very profitable project for me. And I know people get all upset because you got tools, all that. I worked up to this point. I don't want to hear your comments. Don't be a victim. Do the work, make the money, invest in your business. That's all I did. This is the beam that will connect one end of the table base to the other end, along with the top aprons. And yep, I use pocket holes to connect it. Fill the holes in with dowels, sand it down flush. You don't even see it, and it's a very strong connection. Pocket holes get a lot of hate. They get a lot of overuse, but they get a lot of hate as well. And that really is a shame, because it is accessible for beginners. Now, you shouldn't get stuck in the habit of using pocket holes for every single connection, but it is pretty strong, and it will get you started, and it does come in handy even further down the road. If you're wondering why I wasn't using a flush cut saw, it's because I bent the crap out of it and it made it unusable, so I threw it away, and I just haven't ordered another one. The dovetail Japanese style handsaw does just fine with that. Now, one thing I will say, the dowels, pine dowels will absorb the paint better than oak dowels will. So I used oak dowels on a previous build, and I noticed on the white painted base that anywhere the dowels were that had the red oak or the oak hardwood that you buy from the orange big box store, the paint had a yellow tinge to it, and it didn't quite match perfectly. And it really wasn't a deal breaker, wasn't that big of a deal, but I did notice it, and my correction to it is now on I'll use pine because it will match better than the oak will. So these are counter height stools for the table, and I ordered these from a supplier. You got to have an account set up with them, and they're just a real pain to deal with. Every order I've had from them has been late. They've misinformed me multiple times, so I'm not going to recommend that supplier. I'm actually looking for a different supplier that can, kind of give me the same. It's good quality. It's just the company is such a pain to deal with. And what a woman. What a woman. I was in a rush. We had to get this out because I had a business trip coming up the next week. She put on the earmuffs, and she got to work out there helping me while I was working on other parts of the table. Really couldn't have done it or finished it on time without her, so thank you, you beautiful pregnant lady. And we've already put together so many of these, we could practically do it with our eyes closed. We're using is dark walnut men wax. I have used so much of this thing. It's actually been the most popular color. So, word of advice, if you're going to build anything for portfolio to list on Marketplace or, kind of start building some spec projects, dark walnut, at least in my area, has been the absolute most popular color. I'm not necessarily a fan of it. I'm not necessarily a fan of stain at all, but I'm not the one paying for the table, just the one building it. And the way that I do it, I slop on as much stain as possible, then I come out after I've got the whole surface covered, and I'll go back and forth and wipe everything smooth. And somebody did comment that I should spray the tables, and I have done that. Right now I have my sprayers dialed in. I've got one for paint, one for lacquer, and I just don't want to mess up anything. I made the mistake of trying to use one sprayer for paint and lacquer, and I wound up having to strip a table twice because I didn't get all the paint out before I sprayed the lacquer. Now, I noticed a spot in this thing that it didn't absorb the same as the rest, and it just had a dark spot that I could not live with, and I wouldn't have felt comfortable delivering that table the way that it was. So I decided to try to strip that one area, which I knew wouldn't work. I don't know why I tried it to begin with. The stain wasn't completely dry, but how you get frustrated and you just got to figure it out, get it done. Well, that's what I did. Put the stain back on, and it still just didn't match up. So we actually wind up stripping the whole tabletop again. So you could see the light spot now. So it was a dark spot, now it's a light spot. It just wasn't even. And it broke my heart because we're supposed to deliver the next day, and I had to delay it. That's just, you can't deliver stuff like that. So thank God we had the drum sander. I have stripped these by hand before, and as heartbreaking as it is, stripping it by hand with your hand sanders, whether that's a 5-inch random orbital or even a gear driven, it's a lot of work. So again, was very thankful to have this tool in the shop because it made this heartbreak a little bit easier. So if you're still here watching this, then I'm going to let you in on something that I'm planning. Now, I'm doing this as a side hustle, but it has made enough money that if I wanted to right now, I could quit my full-time job and use this to fully support my family. It's made well into the six figures within 6 to 8 months of actually niching down and running it as a legitimate business. And what I'm thinking about doing, or what I'm planning on doing, is a free monthly webinar, maybe a free bi-weekly webinar, where I just talk about more of the business side of things. We talk about ads, we talk about sales, we do trainings, things like that. Maybe even a little consulting, if that's something you'd be interested in. So if that's something you'd be interested in joining or attending, let me know, and I'll start putting that together. That's going to be something completely different than YouTube. The webinar will be completely free, and I'm also going to start putting some content on Patreon and YouTube community. And that'll be separated in a couple of tiers. I'm thinking beginner type tier, and then do a business tier. And in the business tier, we do all things business. We do sales trainings, we do calls, we can do consultations, things like that. So let me know what your thoughts are, if that's something you would be interested in. Really, the ones that are still watching the videos are the ones that'll actually show up and attend, in my opinion. And it's something that's going to be very valuable. This has been absolutely life-changing for me and my family. And I would love to help out other people just to have the same opportunity and even make more money than what I'm making. There's a lot of things I've learned, a lot of mistakes I've made that I could help people not make, and hopefully help people accelerate their business if that's something you'd be interested in. The paint that I like to use is Sherwin-Williams Gallery Series. It's cabinet grade. It's very scratch resistant. It's very good. And I do very light coats. I'll do 6 or 7 coats on the base, 4 to 5 on the chairs, but I'll do very light. I'll leave holidays and I'll catch them on the next one. We did not capture any footage finishing the tabletop. We were just in a rush, but here's the footage of installing a table. So I used the Sherwin-Williams Dull Rub lacquer to finish my tops and the matching chairs, and it came out really, really good. The client was very, very happy with it. And here you go. So very nice table, very good build. You really could build it with the tools that you have. You obviously need tools, but you really can make it work. I hope you like the build. If you like the video, like and subscribe. There's a lot of valuable content coming up that I really hope you enjoy, and I really hope it improves your woodworking and just your life in general. Thank you for watching.